everyone will please stand for our invocation and for our pledge. Commissioner Owens is going to lead us in invocation.
Let us pray. Thank you, Lord, for meeting us here tonight, Lord. Thank you, Lord, for protecting our county, Lord, and looking over our citizens. Lord, we just ask you to be with us tonight, Lord, and all that we say and do, we do it according to your will. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're on cycle, aren't we?
At this time, I'd like to call this special budget meeting to order for June the 17th, 2019, at 5:02, I think. Okay. Thank you for everybody coming. We're facing some issues concerning the budget and agreeing to like the budget, so hopefully tonight we can get one that we can all have approve of, and that is good for all the citizens of the county. So we'll continue on with first items. We have no minutes to approve or anything because this is a special meeting. We do have a sign-up sheet for people who would like to speak concerning the budget. You'll get that.
I have one to read.
Okay. And this is 5 minutes limitation for speaking. Go ahead. Who has one to read?
This is from Renee McGinnis, Water Swamp Road. Gates County Manager and County Commissioners. I attended the county budget workshop on Wednesday, June 12th. It would seem the consensus of the board is to increase the 2019-20 budget by $519,300, which equates to a 6 cent on the tax rate. Several suggestions were made as to how the county could raise these funds. One suggestion was to borrow or transfer all or part of the funds from the county enterprise fund. In the proposed budget, the base water rate was increased by $2, making the base rate for water $12 instead of the current $10. With that increase proposed, I would assume it was felt the water department needed additional funds. So why would one use those funds to balance the general fund budget? The question was asked about selling water to a neighboring county. You cannot balance our budget on what-ifs. That is exactly what caused Juwan County to have the financial issues they had a few years back, banking on what-ifs to keep the tax rate low. I would hate to see you lead Gates County down that same path. If the funds are borrowed from the enterprise fund, how do you intend to pay it back? Where are you going to get those funds? You are only compounding the issue for the following budget year. Furthermore, the state of North Carolina clearly states if money is transferred from an enterprise fund to another fund, it can have a negative impact on the county's credit rating or disqualify the county from certain state loan and grant programs. It would truly be a shame to see our own county board of commissioners put Gates County in this situation. I have not even mentioned the possibilities of maintenance on the aging water system in which the enterprise fund would be needed. You really need to think twice and be very careful in making the decision to borrow or transfer funds from the county enterprise fund. If the $519,300 is needed to balance the general fund budget, then raise the tax rate 6 cents. Renee McGinnis.
Okay, thank you.
And I have another to read if someone else does not make it to the meeting.
Okay. Tom Morgan.
My name is Tom Morgan. I live at 95. My name is Tom Morgan. I live at 95 Parkers Fork Road. I'm here to speak in opposition to taking money from the Water Enterprise Fund disqualify the unit from certain state and local grant programs. And on page 312, transferring money from an enterprise fund to the general fund. Even if legally allowed, a local unit should carefully consider whether a transfer from an enterprise fund is appropriate. This practice could have negative financial implications for the unit, particularly related to the issuing of debt. Credit rating agencies are likely to look unfavorably upon any effort that destabilizes the enterprise fund. In recent years, the General Assembly has indicated that it strongly disfavors transfers from the enterprise fund. In 2014, it enacted GS 159G-37B, which prohibits a local government from receiving loans or grants for water, or wastewater purposes from the Clean Water State Revolving Fund, the Wastewater Reserve, Drinking Water State Revolving Fund, or Drinking Water Reserve. If a unit has transferred money from its water or sewer enterprise fund to the general fund to supplement the resources of the general fund. The fund has been seriously depleted in recent years. It's gone from somewhere around 1.2 million down to about 150,000, if I hope my numbers are correct. And we can't keep relying on pulling money out of this pot. If we have another big rain, disaster, hurricane, and our system is broken, we can't expect vendors to come in and repair our work and then wait a year for us to get money to pay them. The last time this happened, we had money in the fund, we paid them, we waited a year for our reimbursement from the federal government for the disaster. How do you plan to deal with this if you take their money away from them? Thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
Madam Chairman, we don't normally respond at a time like this, but I think Mr. Morgan would appreciate us correcting him on that dollar amount if we may.
And I think
Tammy has those.
Mr. Hedgepeth would have the right.
In the past 8 years, it's depleted from 2.2 million down to 1.2 million. And out of that, 150,000 was water related. The other portions of the, predominantly the sewer project.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I'm being early.
That is, I knew you'd want it corrected.
But it has gone back dramatically. Okay, John Taylor Kitchell. Oh, excuse me, I skipped one. Bill Harrell. Take it out. Skip Bill.
How much is this meeting solely related to the budget, or can I say something about something else? It's to do with finance.
Dealing with finance. Oh, that's cut money, I guess.
Bill doesn't make it to too many meetings, so.
Yeah, he's in England part of the time.
I mean, even too much of the time, right? My heart's in Gates County, but my body is in England since my wife had a stroke and was disabled. My name is Bill Harrell. I moved to Gates County when I was 1 year old in 1947. And my we finally sold a house on East Maple Street. We've got property on Barfield Road. And I just saw my cousin Ann Howell here, and she said she'd already spoken to you about the same subject. This year, my landfill tax is $80 a week. I am in Gates County for 3 weeks, and I have to pay $240 for landfill tax. I'm not the only one in this situation. My cousin Ann said it, although not as bad as I am. Wellsford Arts is in this situation. I think the John Fletcher Willie House is the same situation. Martha Willie used to have a house on Willington Road. I don't know if she sold it. That was the same situation. We need to be able to do something to give us a fair rate for landfill tax when we're not here very much. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, John Taylor Kitchell.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. I've been to every one of these since the original voted budget, and I about lost track of how many it's been, but it's been quite a lot of meetings, and I've learned quite a lot. I'm not going to read the whole thing of what I sent y'all this week, but I want to make something abundantly clear that I don't ever want a tax increase. The only politician that I know that thinks people want tax increases is Bernie Sanders. But I realize that sometimes we need to raise taxes. Now, before I got looking into and found out the stuff that Mr. Morgan was speaking about a while ago, I was dead adamant against touching the water funds. That's the way I was raised. My father had a lot to do with the planning of this back 40 years ago, and it's always been a sacred cow in our family, and it is today. It's 40 years old. We need to look out for the future because we don't know what will come with that. The general fund, I was intrigued by that, and I said, you know, that's our money. If we have access, then why not use it? Well, but we don't have access. I feel like that we're down below the state average in what the general fund available divided by expenditures is, and if we keep taking from that, we're going to end up just like Chowan County was several years ago. So I have offered 2 or 3 things that we could cut, so we could maybe bring down the 6 cents down, but I see no way that we can get by without having a tax increase this year, even though I won't like it. I understand why. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, that's everyone who has signed up. Anyone get in here late and did not have a chance to sign up? Okay. At this time, we will, the reason we are here is to come up with the budget. Okay, we have budget amendments first to do. They are on the table in front of you. First one is number 73.
Number 73 is to cover the cost for additional inmate medical expenses.
Okay.
I'll make a motion, Madam Chairman, that we approve budget amendment revision number 73.
Second.
Okay, the motion been made and seconded. In discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? It's approved 4-0.
Budget amendment 74 is just to cover a small shortfall in the retirees' health insurance line due to an increase in cost.
Okay. I think we can handle $10.
You sure we want to discuss that? I'll even make that motion. Revision 74.
We got a budget amendment that has been proposed and seconded. In discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. That is approved 4-0.
75 is to receive additional money for the stream debris removal project. They're extending that.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion we approve budget revision number 75.
And I'll second that, and as it says, or states here, is the grant.
Okay, motion's been made, properly seconded, in discussion, and this is from prior to remove debris from the streams, and so if you know, then we see that work. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Approved 4-0.
76, you should have just received that one today. That is to cover additional costs for boarding inmates for the next couple months.
Okay.
Expenses.
I'll make a motion, Madam Chairman, that we accept this.
I'll second.
Budget number 76.
I'll second that, Madam Chair.
Okay, a motion's been made and seconded, in discussion.
No discussion, is something we just are saddled with.
I know.
How many inmates it's going to have, and how long we're going to keep them up forever.
I don't know if we want to keep them forever, but
I did.
all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Passes 4-0.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to back up to 75 minutes. We know, Natalie, if any of that work has already been done.
This is new money for new projects
Okay,
that
so
he's
it is-
identified.
Okay, I didn't know if they had done some of the work and
No,
knowing that
They-
money was coming.
no, we can't do that. This money, Matt was actually contacted, I believe, the week before, the last week of May, and the state said they had more money, could we use it? And he said yes.
Oh, yeah, okay,
He already has, I think, a few areas identified.
good, thank you.
Yes, that's always helpful. In the year, everybody's trying to make sure the money is dispersed. Okay, we've got that over. Issue tonight for us is the budget for 2019, 2020, and what the dilemma we are facing on how to, we have scheduled for our requires a balanced budget, and revenues, expenditure, Walt's exceeds the money. So, this is where we kind of left it off, and we had somewhat of a proposal. Anyone care to?
If I may,
Yeah.
the budget ordinance, if you'd like, I can read the whole thing, but to summarize the major differences, there is not a tax increase. The tax will still be 76 cents per $100 as of January 1st, 2019, and the full amount allocated to EMS remains $812,000 as the budget which you tabled. However, the difference, instead of tax increase, will be from the general fund and from the enterprise fund balances. So the general fund balance appropriated is $259,652, and the enterprise fund balance is $259,652, which brings the total general fund amount to $12,934,027.
Okay, that's where we ended up last Wednesday night.
All right, so I have a question for the county manager. We're treading on new territory all the way around. With our budget, as Mr. Kifler mentioned, we had quite a few meetings. And at the last meeting, I mentioned that it was quite likely, very likely, that when we got here, we might not be in agreement, and there might be some more changes to come about. So let's talk about, Jack Owens wants to make a change on what you currently stated with our current budget. Where do we, and we all agree with what Jack says in theory.
We do?
What do we're all in agreement, but it's different than what you just stated. Where do we go from there?
You make the recommended changes depending on how drastic the changes are, because I do have a few other spreadsheets already ready. If you recess, I could pull the numbers, plug them into this ordinance, you could vote on it. If there are drastic changes, then we might have to have another meeting to approve the budget.
If we had to have another meeting to approve the budget, we have to advertise that.
What is that, 48 hours?
All right, so what I was trying to accomplish was the timing of it. And it is good to know that we could have a recess and come back with you tweaking some things. That would be the need for a recess. Okay, all right. Well, I have certainly been hearing from our citizens, and a lot of the conversations that I've been hearing, county managers, county manager and commissioners, is commenting about the enterprise fund. And I was telling somebody today that the same people who called me about not raising taxes called me and said raise taxes. The same people. So we all get the opportunity to change our mind if need be. I have been talking to our fellow commissioners, and I'm throwing this out for conversation, gentlemen, and Madam Chair, that we raise taxes 3 cents and take the equivalent of 3 cents from the general fund, which is $259,652. I'd like to start a dialogue with that and see, and hold the board, trying to get to a place where we can vote tonight.
Well, certainly my colleagues know that I don't favor raising the taxes. However, listening to comments from not only the folks that are here, but other folks too, who are concerned about the enterprise fund. Make no mistake, we all are concerned about the enterprise fund. And we were not to take from it as a reoccurring situation. And it was to be, at least our thought process is to pay it back as soon as we could, within a year. We have to take it out of the revenue. But listening to all those comments, now the same folks that Commissioner Owens is talking about that complain about raising any taxes and taking anything away from our county employees have turned around, imagine that, and now they don't mind taxes being raised. We're also hearing folks involved in county government before, and reading their comments, and also listening very carefully to what could happen. Now, my thought is, and who knows, and we talk about a what if, and I know several of you have read my emails on what if capability. And that what if always exists. But also, it's what if we did need something. If we didn't have the money, I do not believe that any government that's attached to us would hold us from borrowing money to keep our water running. If we went dry, or something happened, and they said, no, you can't borrow any money because you put it all in schools, you put it all in EMS, then make no mistake, I know the government will come to us. We see it happening all over the United States every day, unfortunately. And God forbid it happened in Gates County. But if it did, and they did not grant us a loan, best you believe they would find the money to keep Gates County in water. They're not going to let 11,000, 12,000 people starve to death. So, but in agreement and listening to Commissioner Owens, certainly I'm not in agreement with raising taxes. However, because I believe all the money that's in these funds are your monies, they're citizens' monies. That money exists, it's there. However, I think in this particular situation, I can certainly live with 3 cents tax increase and take it from the general fund.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Freeman. Do you want to speak now, or me, or?
Right, it's not there for every one piece. I'll let you go first, Madam Chair.
No, you go.
You said 3 cent tax increase and 3 cents from the general fund.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So basically, we're looking at revenues of the latest budget ordinance that was on our table. The bottom line transfer of enterprise funds, we basically would mark that out, and that would be the 3 cent tax increase.
Correct.
Okay, I'm done for now, Madam Chair.
As those of you who were here Wednesday night, you know what I said. I did not want to see it taken out of the water fund. I thought that was just kicking the can down the road, so to speak, where we're going to get the money next year. You know, and there are consequences when you start taking it out of the water fund, and I believe Those who spoke on it, Ms. Morgan and Ms. Kittrell brought up some of the negative consequences to the county if we take it out of there. So that, you're disqualified for receiving some grants and loans for water and sewer. And I know that they had been planning on applying for a grant coming up concerning a water survey to try to improve the quality, flow, and longevity of our system. We have aging systems, and repairs are going to be more each year. We also have the wastewater coming online. We do not know what that will be for the upcoming future. That'll be an additional cost for that. But the bottom line is, we take it this year, where are we going to get it to replace it? Or, things continue to go up, so, that's why I was opposed to that idea. And plus, the LGC flags these transfers. If you have to go there to borrow money, they're going to look and say, well, you took it from the water fund before. So that is a flag to them. And rating agencies, when you go borrow money, would also probably raise rates. You wouldn't get the cheapest rate. So there's lots of things. But if you look at our budget, we will have the same debt service through March 22, which is $1,323,875. That's the debt that we currently hold, that we've got to find money for, and in our budget. And it is reduced by September of 2025 because we'll have the DSS. The old school loan will be paid off in 22, on DSS by 25. We also, because of work at Central, one of the conditions of getting those grants for $8.2 million was that we would forego lottery funds for 5 years. Not brought in about $500,000 per year.
No, ma'am, like 110,000.
Okay, 500,000 over through 5 years. That we no longer have available to us for 3 or 4 more years. So, there's a lot of things. The budget is going to be tight this year, and we see it is very tight. And next year is going to be tight too. Hopefully some more revenues come in. I know the tax department is up to like 98%, which is a wonderful rate. And we're trying to collect everything we can find to do it. But I just think water is a no-go. I will support, I think I said that Wednesday night, a 3-cent tax increase and 3 cents. I don't like taking it from the general fund either, but I will agree to that.
Commissioner Owens, I know you spoke with Commissioner. Okay, he's here if you'd like to take a recess.
Okay, let's take a 5-minute break to get with the ordinance commissioner. Have a full board here. That's when we're talking about budget. And we've heard from some public comments. We have just kind of given some our thoughts concerning it. I think Commissioner Owens gave you a rundown of the thought process. We certainly, if you feel like you can, do you know about new?
What you just threw out.
I did.
You did, okay.
And I told them that we'd all voiced our comments on that, and so far we've agreed on that piece. Any?
Well, I pretty much in agreement with it. My concern was that I felt that, we have in our general fund reserve the required LGC amount that you should have in order to have the right percentage for your budget. And we can use some of that without running into any problem with LGC. But reset is not a lot,
Okay, any of the other commissioners have anything else to say?
I do, Madam Chair.
Okay,
Um,
Mr. Jones.
Looking at what we have already cut, and there's been a lot of cuts, I think we can all agree to that. I would be curious to know, in line item 4120 administrative, the new position that's listed, what the actual amount would be, the benefits for that position. The salary is listed, the proposed salary.
The benefits include, and I don't have them separated out, but the FICA is 7.65, and retirement is 9.02, and then the hospitalization is $7,414.80 a year for that position.
So 7.65, 9.02, and 74.14. Can you put it in your calculator so I don't
Now, I'll have to, it'll take me a minute.
Okay, thank you.
But that position, if I may, and I will defer to Ms. Outland, there's a great need for that position each year. Even the LGC, when they were here last week, they did question us about the number of people, and I told them that was in the budget. They said that they would probably never get rid of the finding that talks about separation of duties, but a third position in finance would lessen the number of findings associated with that. But if you have anything you want to add as related from your first year, while I do some calculations.
I think what I've learned from and I haven't been here full year yet, and just from our 2-hour conversation with the auditor we had a few weeks ago, that there are a lot of things that the county should have been doing that they haven't been doing, that the auditors were doing. And there have been some changes. And so the auditors are supposed to be doing less, we're supposed to be doing more. And I have watched at least the folks that I supervise. I can only imagine now what it was like not having a finance officer. And I'm still learning, so I think I'm helpful, but there's still a lot to learn. So just hearing all of the things that we are going to have to take on, it's either we're going to be staying late and there's going to be comp time. I don't earn comp time because of my position, but I don't want to have to ask folks to stay after 5, but the work has to get done. So you're looking at another position for paying comp time. That's, unless you want to volunteer.
No, but you did. I like what you said. There's a lot of things that we should have been doing that we weren't doing. That can be said for a whole lot of things in this county.
Right.
And you weren't on board at this particular time. Last year, our auditors walked out, but they did not only walk out of Gates County, they walked out of many counties in the state. It was one of the large firms. They had internal problems and they broke apart. And that created a backlog for us. And they had been, like as Mrs. Eichmann said, doing more than they should have. When we got the new auditors, they didn't do it like the old auditors. They wanted more done here to give to them, whatever.
But no, that's all just in the state law now.
And that small amount of state law is different.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, sir.
Sometimes we have to look internally and recognize that time management is very important. I'm not saying that we've been wasting a lot of time, but our managers and directors have to ensure that our employees are putting in the time or the needed items. Because sometimes you can be working on something that may not be as important.
That
So
is
time
not,
management is very important.
that's not the case for finance. Marie's actually staying over today to catch up on some items. But to answer Commissioner Jones' question, with salary, benefits, everything, it's $43,866.
43,866.
Yes.
But now we have a part-time.
No, that's ended, that's not for next fiscal year. That was a temporary part-time to get us through this year, to try to play catch-up from everything from last year.
That's not in this year's budget, that position.
No, there is no temporary part-time
So
position.
you did away with part-time to make it a full-time.
Correct.
So let me ask a question to help us better understand the accounts payable position. Natalie. Part of what the state does not like, I'm not saying I'm correct, I'm sort of asking a question. This phrase separation of duties. The state wants to see one person not doing this and this.
Correct.
Okay. And we're talking about a county. Are we talking about one person overseeing the other, or is
It's kind of a combination, wouldn't you say?
Right, this person would focus more on accounts receivable or grants, big projects, whereas Marie right now is doing most of the accounts payable. I know that there are 3 of us and then the part-time person right now in the office. We have one person who's solely focused mostly on payroll. So it's really, when it comes down to your accounts receivable, accounts payable, reconciling, that's just me and Marie at this point. And like I said, the auditors have said, there's a lot more that we should have been doing that we were relying on the auditors to do. And I believe this year we had to pay extra to have them to help us out, because a lot of this was, before I was here. So they were having to do the catch-up. There's only so many hours in a day that 2 people can really do everything. And in our department, paperwork comes from every department. We're handling a lot of, we're not just just finance department, we're handling lots of things.
And so we had to, did I understand you to say that because the audit firm had to do more than their scope that they had agreed to, it has cost us money this year?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
while Commissioner Owens has made a proposal, a recommendation, whatever terminology is, and listened to Commissioner Jordan, I would like to add on to Commissioner Owens' request or proposal that this 43,866 be moved to line item 115911,632. That's 115911,632, along with $6,134 from line item 11-9840-986.
Can you just tell us the
What they
department?
are, that,
11-9840-986, the 6,134, which is what my math would make a total of $50,000 is transferred to IT expense. And 11-5911-632 is to the school system. So a total of $50,000 extra allotted to the school system, which does not raise taxes anymore. There was a request at the last meeting for additional teachers, and we've seen the request for additional band director. I forget the exact amount. As John Taylor said, there's been a lot of meetings, a lot of
They've never
paperwork
provided an exact amount.
for the breakdown of the
they know,
three
yeah,
teachers.
no, they know how many a formal request.
But that is my request, Madam Chair.
the line item ending in 632,
Yes, sir.
that is,
That would be from instead of 2.808 to the school system, we've added 2.8. It's called school current expense.
And it's kind of the 11th hour. I was thinking, trying to get the budget done, not to be micromanaging. And that, how much money did you say this was?
It was a total of $50,000.
Well, that will not hire 3 teachers, 3 aides, and a band director.
No, it would hire one.
I think some of it has already been done.
I don't know. I'm not privy to school hires, Madam Chair.
Well, I'm not privy to some, that information either, but I think they find some money. There is a motion on the floor at this time from Commissioner,
No, there was no motion.
you didn't make the motion? Okay. Okay, still open up discussion.
I still feel that time management is so very important. And this needs to be instilled in all our departments. Our people have to put in not only a full day, but they have to be diverse. Sometimes cross-trained, so that we can do more than one thing. And that's going to resolve a lot of problems for us. So I think it's important that management keeps this in mind, that when we're short people, let's look at cross-training, let's look at how we're managing our time, and how much time we're putting on certain items, that maybe we can put it on something else.
I know some of the departments do cross-train their employees because we all have small departments.
Kind of imagine, I think that would be something that you could grade your employees on.
But you can't cross-train 2 finance people who are already cross-trained and who basically does everything already. And one of the findings for next year actually deals with the payroll position, about needing some additional eyes and hands on payroll besides what's currently being done. So that cross-training is going to occur with the 2 finance people as well.
Well, certainly that's something that is going to be done.
Yes, but as I'm saying, you can't cross-train anyone else within finance because there's no one else to cross-train within finance.
How many people do we have in finance?
There's Kim, who's the finance director, Marie Roundtree, who does accounts receivable, payables, and everything, and then Christy Byram, who does payroll. She handles risk management, insurance, and some HR,
So we have a part-time person, right?
whose position is ending June 30th.
Well, we'll have to try to go again with 3. That's just been business practice. And we are business, although we are government.
Well, I'm going on record that I do not support that. You're the one who votes for it, but it is needed, and the LGC last week seemed to be happy that it was in the budget. Just to make that note as well.
County Manager, talk to us about the IT budget for 2019-20.
The budget includes all the software except for what is used by customer service. It was left for customer service. Departmental supplies, because that is reimbursed from the water fund. And then it includes any of the materials that need to, or any of the computers that need to be updated next year. because we try to cycle them out every 5, 6 years at the most.
And that line item was like 102?
It's $102,000. $102,500. And the majority of that is for our software.
And we have finished purchasing the software, right? We got all software.
Well, the initial purchase, but every year there's a yearly maintenance and a hosted annual agreement that's payable, and we still owe one payment to our tax software because we broke that payment up over 3 years.
So out of that 102,500, it sounds like there's, you mentioned 3 things broken in, that's like an obligation.
Right, $86,630 of that $102,000 is actually for all software.
So out of those 3 things you mentioned, that I'm calling it an obligation, is it 86,130, is that all of that? Or is that just one?
86,000, that includes all yearly maintenance, all hosted manual, all, well, actually, take that back, that does not include the additional information, the ones that tax requested this year. They did have 2 modules that, I believe if Ms. Lane, she came here, she did say that she would like 2 additional modules to help people pay their taxes online. So those are included with this payment as well.
And that's 86.
Would that include, that's more than the 86, that's not
That's
on
in
this
addition
one
to the
page.
86.
Right.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
going back to what we just heard, there is extra money, I believe. We cut every other department. Governing body 114110-170. Members per diem and travel is currently at 2,000 right now. For commission of travel, I will rescind my recommendation from 6134 to 5134 from the IT expense to take the extra 1,000 from members per diem and travel. Everybody else is having to tighten their belts.
Zero in that?
I never put in trouble.
So I say,
No, there has been travel whenever,
We go to the district meeting.
right, there might be a fee, or if there's occasionally a workshop
The
that someone
classes.
has attended, but it has been very, very minimal. If you give me 1 minute, I can.
we're at 648 spent for the year as a May 5th. So I'm going to recommend instead of 2,000 to go down to 1,000.
Well, the reason it's that number is because the new commissioner,
Had to go to school.
3 of us had to go to
The ethics training.
It's ranged from 2012, from a low of $95 to $1,886. No, excuse me, $2,506.
I like the recommendation of zero.
And I'll back that, Commissioner Holmes. So that would put us at 4134 from the IT expense, with 2,000 from members per diem and travel, and then the 43,866.
Not to bring up a source of subject, I heard that monies were transferred from enterprise to water department.
That's a transfer that's done every year. It's a reimbursement, and it's done the correct way according to the LGC. That was the discussion that was on last Thursday. Is to reimburse based upon Maximus, who is one of those 2, that does, they look at the reimbursement rates for all departments.
And that did not affect our borrowing.
No, because it's based upon their calculations.
Now,
It's,
is it true that years ago, the enterprise fund bought the computers for the tax department? Anyone answer that? I've been told that, that's why I asked.
no money has been taken from the enterprise fund since I've been a commissioner.
Oh,
But that's, but
long
you are,
before us, long before us.
and, but we, you know, like customer service does their billing, so money is, they just transfer it from water fund to them because they're doing their bookwork for them, the billing for them and collections for them. That is a legal, that's very legal in any of these funds, to pay for that.
I was told that, so I'd like for us to look into that, just so we know it.
We would have to know what year, and we've changed financial
We'll find out,
systems.
we'll find out.
I can speak a little bit to that.
Okay.
That's okay.
When that-
Can we do that later?
Yeah,
We can do that later.
Yeah, because it's not, it's just something that shows the transfer and. then
But the
take
rules
out-
will have all,
The
the
rules are
rules
still the
changed.
same.
No, the rules have changed several years ago about the transfers.
And
So
this isn't-
before, it could have been legal.
And it's not a transfer like what you guys are talking about taking it out of fund balance. This is in their expenditure line. It's a reimbursement of services provided. It's just in-house services that are provided. So it offsets, for example, customer service, it offsets some of their expenses with their reimbursement. That's how that works. It's a little different than taking it from fund balance.
Thank you, Kim. But it would not affect the levy.
No.
Okay, commissioners, where are we?
Well, speaking for me, I know we've had findings from the LGC several years concerning our finance department. That is never a good thing with the audit, there's been findings. I know the LGC, when we went up at school funds, they bring up all those things, and they expect them to be corrected. And they didn't do it correct last year. I say we need to eventually correct it, and I think we need to correct that this year.
How much did we raise taxes last year?
Taxes were not
Not
raised
raised.
last year.
Year before that?
I have a
4 cents.
whole history of it.
I think we stayed that we were neutral last year.
No, we didn't raise it last year at all.
If I may ask her a question. Do you remember the name of the financial statement that you mentioned all of the grants and information on? That's a new report that finance is required to update, as well as all the new OPEB reports and new waste report, that, and the depreciation schedule.
I know on the report that we sent in July, with those three, it looks like this year, according to the statute, you're requiring more information than just submitting in your cash off the,
Right.
deposits. It looks like it's gonna be more detailed.
Yes, this state is requiring more and more.
Chairman, I think we should move forward with making a motion to fund the budget this year, based on the proposal that, that's been discussed. And, just remind our management that we need to be more attuned to time management and utilization of our personnel. We expect that as a board of commissioners. And, also accountability. Accountability, from my understanding, that when we get funds for reimbursement from the
us, it's just a pass-through. We're not responsible for outlining unless you outline
Well,
in the contract or you require them to have an audit.
why would we, just pass it through without accountability?
Because that's all we're contracted to do with them and with the state through the Medicaid set-off and through all the paperwork that's signed.
It's my understanding, that the type of funds that are coming from Medicare have to come to a government entity to be passed to the rescue squad. Commissioner Jordan and I spoke earlier in the day, and part of our conversation was that, that we're committed to looking to more solutions between us and EMS, and that the EMS board, probably one of the first things we need to do is for our board to meet with that board again, so that we all are on a similar path and a similar understanding. And our citizens, some of our citizens are aware that they have their own board, and that board gives direction to the director, and the director's telling the board where the dollars need to be spent, and they're doing that together. It's out of our accountability window and out of our control. But I think one of the first things we need to do is to address that board to board with a special meeting or something going forward. But I do understand the pass-through thing. It's with a grant, we still have we have more control of the grant than we do the scenario that you're talking about. A grant is pass-through money, but Natalie distributes that money still based on receipts, because we're responsible for that money being spent properly. So,
But ultimately, the county's gonna be held accountable, because, when funds are needed, where you gonna come to?
that's right.
You come to the county. So we need to be aware of, how all dollars are spent.
Madam Chair, is, based on some of the earlier comments and verbiage used, is the floor open for motions right now?
What he did this, I think he was making.
He was making a recommendation. I was going to put it in a form of motion, if that's okay, Commissioner Jordan.
That's right.
Okay. Madam Chair, I would like to make a motion that we take 2,000 from 11-411-170, which is government body travel. 4134 from 11-9840-986, which is the transfer to IT expense. The 43,866 from the extra position by not filling it, which would come up to approximately $50,000 based on my quick scribble-scrabble math. We make that addition to line item 11-5911-632, which is to the school system. Piggyback off Commissioner Owens' request of $259,652 from fund balance appropriated, $259,652, which is a 3-cent tax increase. No touching of enterprise funds for fiscal year 2019-20 budget.
No touching longevity, I'll have that.
We discussed that last meeting. That this has no effect on the pay to county employees. I'll make that motion, Madam Chair.
Well, that's a very complex motion, because, the numbers that you were that you were saying and all. I think, we need to take time to process it before we,
The clerk got you.
Thanks, so.
All right, what is the motion?
I don't have the line item numbers, I have the titles. 2,000 from governing body travel, the 4,134 from the IT expense, and then the 43,866
$448.66.
What was that from?
That's the new position and all benefits associated with it.
And so doing that, you're going to reduce the amount we take from the fund balance?
No, ma'am. It would still be $259,652 for fund balance, as Commissioner Owens was referring to earlier. And it would be a 3-cent tax increase, which would bring in $259,652.
You're willing to move that money to the school system.
That would go to line item 1159111632.
And nothing from the enterprise fund.
That is correct, Commissioner Jordan.
I'm a little hesitant on one of those items. I really do think with all the findings we've had in finance, that we need to start making trying to find a solution to that so that will not happen again.
Could we get a second first before we discuss it?
Okay, I got to have a second. Well, I'm not seconding it.
Madam Chairman, I'll second that motion.
Okay, a motion's been made by Commissioner Jones, seconded by Commissioner Jordan. I just think we have had these findings now for 2 consecutive years. We're going on the audit, and the LGC is going to deem us to. And you got to remember, we're not like Congress or the General Assembly. We have, if we borrow money or have any financial issues, we have to go to the LGC. And they're tough.
We're in discussion mode. Don't know how the vote's going to fall on this, but I would like to hear from the LGC. I brought up asked for a little more definition on the separation of duties, and I understand it's a good explanation. But I believe, I don't want to stir the LGC, but maybe the LGC needs to pay the county commissioners a visit and talk to us about our situation.
I think they were well aware of our
Well,
situation.
yeah, I think we need to be made well aware from their viewpoint.
Do we have
That's what I'm referring to.
County Manager, do we have an actual figure on how much we have in our general fund reserve?
As I stated at the previous meeting, fund balance goes back to June 2018. It was about $1.2 million that was unassigned. Unassigned.
There's different types,
Well, we have maintained it, I think it's something like 20% of our total budget is fund balance. That's what you got assigned for us to, that which is over the required reservation.
Can we take a 5-minute break? Okay. Before that break, we were discussing the motion that's on the floor, the 3% tax increase, reducing government body travel, transfer, Melissa,
Read, she wants you to read it.
read.
Read it.
$2,000 from governing body travel, $41.34 from IT expense, $43,866 from the additional finance position to be transferred to the school line of $11,591,632. 3-cent tax increase and the 3-cent equivalent for fund balance.
Okay, that's the motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Okay. At this time, we'll poll the board. Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Freeman? Mr. Jordan?
Aye.
Mr. Owens? I don't know why I'm getting having trouble with mine.
Aye.
Ms. Hoffman? No. I think we need that finance board. Okay, so, motion been made for the budget for 2019, 2020. Any additional comments?
Additional comments, I'd certainly like to say that finance has done a tremendous job, and Ms. Island has been an asset not only to the county, but also those that come in and back. And I know we're putting an awful burden on her, and not doing that because of her, but certainly because she does a good job. I want to recommend her. Say that.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else want to make a comment? If not, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
Motion's been made, properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.